Hey all, Frisco Man 1522 here. Before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking around. Work and life got a little crazy for a while, and I know it's been a while since the last video. I really appreciate your patience and support, and I'm excited to finally be back and moving forward with the Atchison, Missouri, and Western. So, with that said, let's get back on the rails and see what the railroad's been up to. Spring faded into summer across the Ozarks, and with warmer days came renewed life on the Atchison, Missouri and Western. After months of hardship and hard lessons, the railroad was no longer standing still. Instead of pushing further into the wilderness, the AM&W turned inward, rebuilding, strengthening, and preparing for the future. Crews were dispatched across the entire line in what became the largest infrastructure rebuild in the railroad's short history. Up in the hills, the logging camp was transformed. What had once been a simple loading spur became a full yard with dedicated tracks for cordwood and logs, allowing trains to be built without tying up the main line. At the sawmill, expansion followed quickly. A major yard was carved into the landscape to handle the growing outflow of lumber and heavy wooden beams. Flat cars rolled steadily in and out, feeding the railroad's construction needs. Out on the prairie, the wheat farm made improvements of its own. New trackage streamlined the inflow of seed and water, while outbound tracks handled straw bales and wheat more efficiently than ever before. And at the iron smelter, the most dramatic changes took place. The entire yard and industry trackage were rebuilt from the ground up, designed to handle heavier traffic, cleaner switching moves, and constant production. By early summer, the AM&W was no longer a patchwork railroad. It was a system. With the railroad rebuilt and running smoothly, attention turned to the next objective, coal. High in the hills, a new coal mine was taking shape, but before a single ton could be extracted, the mine needed supplies. Wooden beams for support and iron rails for underground trackage. Once again, the AM&W would deliver. At the sawmill, the railroad assigned a familiar engine to the task. Betsy, the little Class B 8-ton porter that had worked Chadwick since the earliest days, was sent down the branch to handle switching duties. Though small and underpowered, Betsy once again proved her importance. Down at the smelter, the railroad introduced a new piece of power, a second Baldwin-built 622D switcher. Nicknamed Shorty, the compact engine was assigned exclusively to the smelter yard. Her job was to organize stake flats loaded with freshly rolled iron rails. With beams at the sawmill and rails at the smelter, the coal mine supplies were ready. Now came the hardest part, building the line itself. Survey crews traced a winding path through the hills, first starting with a switch off from the original main line. The track twisted and curved to follow the terrain, hugging natural contours wherever possible. In several places, the only route forward forced the railroad to cross the river again and again. Bridges carried the rails back and forth across the water, each crossing carefully engineered to balance grade and curvature. As the line pushed higher, the grades grew steeper, progress slowed, equipment strained, and every foot of elevation was earned the hard way. But the crews pressed further into the hills, hoping to reach the summit by that evening. With the line soon to be completed, Shorty was dispatched with a small load of iron rails to stage in a holding yard just off the main line ready for pickup. With the rails waiting in the holding yard, the railroad turned to its roster to choose an engine to carry the mixed freight up to the mine. There was no debate. The honor went to Chief, the Baldwin 1026E 280. She was the most powerful locomotive the AM&W owned, built for heavy work and long climbs. If any engine could handle the coal route, it would be her. Chief departed Chadwick early the next morning, her exhaust sharp and confident as she rolled onto the main line. Her first stop was the sawmill, where Betsy had the beam flats waiting. Chief coupled on and was ready to depart for the holding yard just beyond the smelter turnoff. Chief eased back into the holding yard, coupled on and stretched the slack. The supply train was complete. With two long whistle blasts, Chief turned towards the hills, ready to make the climb. Even for the most powerful engine on the roster, the coal line proved unforgiving. Chief dug in, steam pouring from her cylinders, but the train refused to move. The wheels stopped. The rails fell silent. Chief stood stalled on the grade, unable to pull the supply train any further. the first time since her arrival, Chief had met a challenge she could not overcome alone. The coal mine lay just beyond the ridge. The supplies waited behind her. The crew looked down the line, searching for an answer. Help was coming from a very unlikely source. Thank you for watching the next installment of the Atchison, Missouri and Western Railroads Online series. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next run down the rails. This is Frisco Man 1522 signing off.